Hello, everyone. I'm Fozzie or Cam, and I'm here as always with my co-host Will. How are you doing today, Will?
I'm doing great, Cam. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. We have a great agenda for everyone today. Right off the bat, we have the NBA playoffs we want to discuss. We also want to discuss the new upcoming A24 film, Backrooms, directed by Kane Parsons, a film that I've been anxiously awaiting for years at this point. And Will, who has recently been introduced to this the film, will also be seeing it at some point soon as well. We have to talk. Oh, okay, we were really interested in this Venom animated movie that actually got canceled or shelved by Sony, and it would have. It's shelved, correct? Well.
I this is actually the first time I've heard about it being shelved. Was that announced just recently?
I might have been thinking of another project. I think I was thinking of Spider-Man 2099. That
Oh, okay.
was I or no, I was thinking of Batman Beyond because
Okay.
it was meant to be made by the same creators of Spider-Verse, and it did get shelved. So no, yes, now that I'm thinking of it, the Venom it is not shelved and it is upcoming. I remember hearing about that, yeah. But I have a lot of interest in that for sure as fans of obviously the character of Venom and these animated Sony Spider-Man spin-off projects or projects. Um, so yeah, definitely this interested to see how that pans out. And it comes at a time where we're getting other spin-off Spider-Man content like Spider Noir, which recently had a new trailer, another new trailer actually, and then we have some Avengers Doomsday casting talk to go over. So right off the bat, I have a lot of thoughts on this NBA playoff debacle right now, but Will, right off the bat, I want to hear your take on the Knicks, what was it, 22-point stretch of scoring that allowed them to come back and win in overtime last night. What's your take, Will?
My take is that James Harden, I don't think in my in I can't think of a supposed superstar. And he is somebody who will play, who has shown that he can play at superstar level in the regular season before, but I can't think of a superstar player in the NBA who has more of a notorious history of coming up short in big playoff moments than James Harden. It's just unbelievable. It feels to me like every season when that guy gets into the playoffs, I keep hearing stuff about, oh, James Harden had a bad shooting game. Oh, James Harden had a bad defensive play. Oh, it's a game 7, and James Harden didn't show up. I saw some quote from Mike Brown, head coach of the Knicks. I saw a quote from him to where apparently he was just honest with the media after the game that the Knicks were going after James Harden and attacking him. And Mike Brown coming out publicly and saying that statement just goes to show that the Knicks are not afraid of James Harden, and I honestly don't think any teams that face James Harden in the playoffs are afraid of him. So, I mean, look, is James Harden a talented player who has had great games throughout his career? Of course, but something about him just seems to be at a at times significantly lesser version of himself in these big playoff games. And for as talented as Donovan Mitchell is, and Donovan Mitchell has had big playoff games throughout his career, for as talented as Donovan Mitchell is, I just don't see Cleveland getting past the Knicks in this series due to what a just playoff debacle James Harden just seems to continue to be.
Yeah, do you feel like Donovan Mitchell was underused, especially towards the tail end of that game last night?
I would say so,
Yeah,
definitely.
I
What?
would too.
Yeah.
I think that's a big issue with, I mean, the loss, the ultimate loss. But yeah, it does suck that James Harden, who usually regular season is nasty, he's obviously had some pretty sweet moments throughout this NBA playoff run for the Cavs. Um, but historically, he is known for not always finishing the job. And I remembering back to just a couple of days ago when they won the game seven, and everyone was like, "All right, it's game seven. Time to not bet on James Harden." And everyone was so shocked when he won. And I mean, that just shows you how he historically isn't a clutch guy in that sense. I feel like he kind of proved people wrong with winning that game seven, but here and especially last night, it's going to be interesting to say the least. I want the Cavs to win this series. I hate the Knicks. I don't care for the Knicks at all. I don't care for Jalen Brunson. I don't care for him at all. I actually really like Cat. I like Cat a lot. I like watching him play. I like him on and off the court. I think he's a cool guy. Um, and he's really been nasty on the Knicks, and he was also nasty on the Timberwolves. He's just a guy I like watching play. I love watching a big guy who can also shoot from the three. I think that's really entertaining, and also adds a whole different layer to the game. I mean, you got people, Joel Embiid, Kristaps Porzingis, um, two big guys who are pretty accurate from the 3-point line. So that adds a whole different layer to the game. Josh Hart. I enjoy watching Josh Hart play Mikal Bridges. They've got a good squad. I'd much rather see the Cavs win. Um, I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell guy. I've always supported him. I think he's been a standout player since he was drafted. I've been impressed with him for a while. And going back to Jalen Brunson quickly, the only redeeming factor I have for him, and I was talking to one of my friends last night and he was saying, "Yeah, I hate Jalen Brunson." I said, pretty much what I said here. I don't love him, but you have to respect a guy who was drafted in the second round by a team he's no longer on, and kind of revitalized his whole career by coming down here to the Knicks and playing pretty darn good. Because that's what he's doing. He's playing really well for the Knicks. He is lethal from the three, and I've just really enjoyed watching. Um, I mean, to a point, enjoyed watching him drill these threes. Despite my hatred for this team and organization, I don't know. Well, it bothers me how many celebrities show up to the Knicks game. I feel like they're not even real fans. I mean, Chalamet's one thing. I feel like he's proven he's kind of a real fan, but maybe I'm falling for the bait. Maybe he's not actually a real fan. I don't know. It kind of annoys me. They think they're so good because they got Tina Fey at the games. It doesn't work like that for me. I don't think. I think you got to focus on winning, and I mean, I guess that's what they've been doing. But still a lot more games left. Still have to deal with a pretty prime um, Spider and a pretty slightly out of his prime, James Harden. So it'll be interesting to see how that series fares. But tonight, actually, we've got the Spurs and OKC. I thought OKC was going to do a little bit better than they did the other night. It went into OT, correct? Yeah. Um,
Double overtime.
yeah. And I thought it was going to be an easy-ish win for OKC. I was wrong. I think definitely the 10 days without playing a game probably impacted them. So I'm expecting them to get the win tonight. But man, how do you stop Victor Wembanyama? What do you
Yeah.
do when he's 7'6" or whatever, and he's drilling threes from deep, deep back there, and he's what? How many rebounds did he have last game? Well, he had like
Some insane double digit number of them.
some insane double-digit number that shouldn't even be happening with what, 40 something points was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 40 something points, double-digit rebounds, quite a few blocks. I mean, you watch him play and you wonder how can you stop him? The only time you can stop him is when he's injured. That's it. That's all you can really do. And I mean, OKC's got people. They've got Chet, they've got Hartenstein, and it's not really working as I thought it would. Because when Wemby can't score, you got Stefan Castle to score. Usually you have De'Aaron Fox who you can rely on, who was out last game. I don't know. I think he'll be back tonight. Um, and then you've got that other guy, Vassell, who's nasty, and I believe it's Dylan Harper who is also playing at an elite level. So this Spurs team is actually more dangerous than I thought they'd be compared to OKC. I mean, obviously, OKC's still putting up a fight. I mean, with it going to double overtime and all, but I thought they'd have a much easier time with this series. Do you feel the same, Will?
You know, let me let me start by saying this. I am not saying that, look, are the San Antonio Spurs a scary team who could win this series and who could win the championship this season? Absolutely. Is Victor Wembanyama a scary talent who has the potential of dominating this league for years to come in terrifying ways? Absolutely. Is it incredibly impressive that the Spurs went on the road in game one of this series without De'Aaron Fox, their second best player, who's a guy who was a number one option on his previous team, the Sacramento Kings, and who was also one clutch player of the year. And the fact that they won that game um, on the road without De'Aaron Fox, incredibly impressive. This is the only thing though that I would say to people because I was watching Kendrick Perkins on Sports Center really massively freaking out about Wembanyama in the Spurs, and I am not saying the Spurs and Wembanyama should not be feared. They absolutely should be, but I feel like sports media will do this thing sometimes to where one team and one player has a massive game and it's like, oh boy, this team and this player are unstoppable. They're going to win this series and the opponent just has their work cut out for them. And I'm not saying this isn't a scary Spurs team, but what I would remind people is the Oklahoma City Thunder are the reigning defending NBA champions. They have SGA, who just won back to back MVPs, and you know he's going to be coming out with a vengeance in game two. And
Yeah.
just because the Spurs won this game doesn't mean they won it easily. It took them double overtime to win the game. There was at one point where Chet Holmgren had actually an incredible block on Victor Wembanyama, and it looked like the Thunder were going to win in that moment. So I'm not saying that the Spurs are not a force to be reckoned with. They are, but just I am not counting out Oklahoma City at all. I think they're going to be coming back with a vengeance tonight, and this strikes me as a series that's going to go 7 games.
Yeah, I think that's how I'm feeling now. That's the vibe I'm catching. And you mentioned Kendrick Perkins. Well, I heard that man have some things to say recently about my guy, Jaylen Brown of the Celtics, who, upon further review, might not really be my guy right now. I am so sick of this Twitch streaming um, BS. It is just so tiring. It is getting really old really fast to hear Jaylen Brown complain about something on Twitch. It is so annoying, Will, to have a player for your city who you love on the court and you used to love off the court. It is annoying when he goes on stream and he's like, the reffing's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. F. Stephen A. Smith. Why? It's not that big of a deal. I mean, he's in sports media. He's gonna talk a little bit of trash. It's Stephen A. Smith. Grow up, Jaylen Brown. I mean, and when I mentioned Kendrick Perkins, he went on a whole rant discussing how he's had past and I believe just past Celtics members talk about how they're not loving what Jaylen Brown's doing either. It's sullying the Celtics name right now. It's not a good look. I mean, he's already in mild, very mild discussions to be traded, perhaps to be off the team next year. I don't know if that's gonna happen. I actually kind of hope it doesn't. I love Jalen and Jason on the court together, but what I don't like is this off the court Jaylen Brown. It gets to a point for me, and this all really started for me. I really started to get heated when he got ejected from that game towards the tail end of the season. And he won't have Jason Tatum on the podcast. Him saying that this was his favorite season ever, the one without Jason Tatum. What are you talking about? Who says that? Who says that when they're not trying to fuel the fire or something? Get a headline. I don't know what his agenda was with saying that the Tatumless season was his favorite, but it's weird and I don't like it. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's good for the team. And as a, I was a little annoyed with Stephen A at first for clapping back at Jalen. I no, it's just on principle. You don't interact with the media like that. LeBron was one thing because that was his son, and as much as I think Stephen A as annoying and hard to watch for me as he is sometimes, it's his job. His job, he needs engagement and he means what he's saying. And again, it's what he does. It's what this field that he's in does. That's their job. And if you can't take what he's saying and you got to go on the street and say, F Stephen A, F Stephen B, F Stephen C, what is it? It's just a bunch of nonsense. I can't stand Jalen Brown on Twitch. You see what Jason Tatum's doing right now? Working. He's in commercials, making money. He's practicing. He's with his kids. And you're on a Twitch stream and you're starting unnecessary conflicts. You're wasting time. You're saying that this is your favorite season, which is just a boneheaded take because who says that? And that just bothers me. Will, what's your take on this whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, I hear everything that you're saying, and I want to, preface my comments by saying, you know, I do not think it was smart for Jalen Brown to go out and say that the season where Tatum wasn't playing for the majority of it is his favorite season. Now I'm going to give Jalen Brown the benefit of the doubt because I believe that he is a smart person, and I don't think he would say that without knowing the backlash that could come from it. But still, I don't think it was the wisest choice on his part to go and say that the season Tatum without Tatum for the majority of it was his favorite season because he knows that by saying that he's going to open himself up to all this media ridicule of people questioning if he and Jason Tatum's relationship is in a good place right now. But the only thing, and I'm not saying that was smart for Jalen Brown to say that comment, but the only thing that I'm not hearing Stephen A and other media members point out that I think is justifiable is this was a Celtics team that was not supposed to be the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference this year. This was expected to be a team that was maybe like the 7th seed or the 8th seed in a play-in tournament team. Nobody would have expected them to be the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference this season, and yet Jalen Brown stepped up and carried them, and the whole team rose up and went way further than anybody would have expected them to go this season. So I don't think it was smart for Jalen Brown to say that comment because of the media ridicule and the questioning of he and Tatum's
Yeah,
relationship that he opened himself up to. But I could see Jalen Brown loving this season from the standpoint of nobody expected them to be the 2 seed, and yet they all rose up and proved people wrong.
but why did they expect them not to be the 2 seed because Tatum was gone? It all leads back to Tatum not being there. Any way you frame it, the root of it is
True.
Tatum not being there. So it's inevitably going to be taken as a sort of sneak diss on Jason Tatum, your teammate, which maybe in your heart of hearts you didn't mean it that way. Obviously, it's going to come off like that. When
Right.
there's already speculation that you guys kind of don't love each other, and I mean, there's not a I don't care. Like, you guys, as long as they have a fundamental respect, they don't have to go to dinner. They don't have to be best buds. Look at Pippen and Jordan. They weren't hanging out. Look it up. I mean, it's true, but with the semi speculation that's already there, and like you said, he's a real smart guy, and that's yes, he's a super smart guy. Everyone says that. It gets me a little annoyed. There's a bunch of other smart people in the NBA who do things that whatever, and people aren't like, oh, but they're smart though, so it's okay. That bothers me too. Yeah, he's a smart guy. He should know what he's doing. I mean, that frustrates me. The whole discourse around Jalen Brown is aggravating. Is aggravating me right now, and I hope he gets it together for the sake of my team, for the sake of Boston Celtics, for the sake of Boston Celtics basketball. I mean, this isn't a good look at all. I think this should be corrected as soon as possible. And a easy solution would be to stop streaming on Twitch or do stuff that isn't just dissing on people and criticizing and complaining. I don't want to hear it. You're making like $57 million a year next year. And you're like, the referee was. I am done. I am done with it. I mean, you could. There are other people who do things like this that also infuriate me. Kevin Durant infuriates me. Prime Kyrie, when he was talking all that talk, and amongst other things he was talking, also infuriated me. He seems to have simmered down since then, which is lovely, but it gets to a point for me where I just get done with it, you know. And right now, my own player is making my blood boil, which is disappointing for sure. Um, but something else I wanted to talk to you that's sort of related to the Celtics in TD Garden. Joji will be performing, and I have gotten tickets to see Joji. I've been listening to a lot of his music as of late. This is his album Smithereens, and his most recent album, who I that I got to listen to when it came out about a month ago ish. Um, it was a solid album. Um, but not exactly everything I wanted. I just wanted to talk about that real quick just to spread awareness because I'm looking at his tour and his tickets aren't selling as great as I would have thought maybe, but I don't know if you're unfamiliar with Joji, I'd recommend checking him out, perhaps getting a ticket or two for yourself because you know he's playing at these big venues and he's making some genuinely good music. Despite his most recent album not being a favorite of mine. But what is a favorite of mine is the internet series Backrooms. So, if you're unfamiliar, Backrooms, which is an upcoming movie made by Kane Parsons and A24, was originally a post on 4chan, I want to say. I don't know. Where they described this little horror scenario where this was sort of this endless liminal space with this very specific lighting and vibe to it that sort of gave it this horror type vibe. If you look it up and see what I'm talking about, you'll understand. It's sort of hard to explain, but the whole idea was that it was a liminal space horror, and the original post is like a paragraph, you know. And Kane Parsons, so technically he didn't create it, but what he did was make it into an entire series online using Blender, which is, from what I've gathered, you can make 3D models, you can make visual effect shots on it, and CGI stuff. So using Blender, he was able to make this series, which ended up being extremely popular and is now becoming a movie. So obviously I was a fan of this series when this internet series when it got popular. So obviously I was super excited when a couple of years ago it was announced, oh, there's going to be a movie. Finally, it's on its way. Kane Parsons, who is 19 years old, the youngest director in A24 history, which I mean, I think he was like 16 when he started this Backrooms online series, which is insane. He's directing this movie and he wrote this movie and it seems like A24 is giving him complete creative control, which is super awesome and super impressive for someone that young and that new to the field. I'm hoping it's good. The cast seems stacked, and the trailers seem to be fantastic. Will, I know you don't know much about it, but I think this is a movie you'll enjoy. I think it's horror, but it's not jump scare horror necessarily. It's a different sort of thing. But yeah, you're just hoping that it's a solid movie, for sure, you know. And you know what probably will be a solid movie? Well, this Venom animated movie that's
Yeah.
coming up soon from Sony. And honestly, I have full faith in the Sony animated movie department. Not the live action movie department. We all know how that went out. You had Venom, solid, and then it all just went to hell after that. You got Morbius, you got Madam Web, you got Craven. We've talked about that more times than I can even count. So it interests me when I hear that we're gonna get a Venom spin-off, Spider-Verse type movie. Um, and yeah, that's something that's right up my alley. I'm fascinated by the character of Venom. He's one of the cooler characters in Spider-Man lore. And yeah, this is something I'm definitely excited for. My my only thing is it a little bit cash grabby to make a Venom movie? I mean, it a little unnecessary even, sort of in the way that Craven was unnecessary. I don't know. It still interests me. What's your take on this, Will?
Yeah, so I mean, like, I would say there are certain movies that just perfectly fit into the good bad movie category, to where they're flawed, they're not perfect, but you're still able to enjoy them and have fun with them, even if they're not perfect. And the Venom movies to me are perfect examples of that. And like all I'm asking for this from this animated movie is just the same thing. Like, I don't need you to be great. I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be a good bad movie. I just need you to be, fun, even if you're flawed, just as long as you're fun in spite of the flaws, I'll be happy with that. Now, Venom: The Last Dance, I mean, I don't know what they're planning for this. Is it going to be a prequel, a sequel? We really don't know about that. I do feel like Venom: The Last Dance wrapped up Venom and Eddie Brock's storyline and culminated a lot of things in a really nice way. So if this is going to be a sequel, I will want to know if they feel like there's more story to tell or not. But as long as this falls into that good bad movie category and is not perfect but fun, then I'll be thrilled because that's all I ask for from a Venom film, animated or live action.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm interested in it, and I think it'll probably be good if it continues on the pace of some of these other Sony animated movies like Spider-Verse. But, I mean, another one where here I am hoping that it's good. But speaking of hoping that a movie is good, Avengers Doomsday, keep talking about it, coming out soon. Um, we have some major casting news. Will, what what's going on right now with this Cassie Lang strange dilemma that we have? And
Yeah.
I also have some other interesting casting points to bring up too. So what's going on?
So I just want to take a moment to just talk about the fact that Marvel recently announced that Scott Lang's daughter, Cassie Lang, played by Katherine Newton, is going to be in Avengers Doomsday. They did a solo announcement, or I guess it was Katherine Newton herself putting out an Instagram video announcing her involvement in this film. Now, when Marvel obviously last year came out with their big cast announcement with the chairs announcing all the people who were going to be in the film, which I thought was a super fun way to announce the cast, but they waited to announce that Steve Rogers was in the movie until that trailer about him came out. And since Steve Rogers is such an iconic character, waiting to announce his involvement in the film until the trailer made perfect sense to me. But Cassie Lang is a character from a movie in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania that Marvel fans did not even like. It had a huge opening weekend at the box office, but then massively plummeted in its second weekend. You could make an argument that that film is an all-time low point for some Marvel fans, which makes me think, now, I will say this: does it make sense that Cassie Lang is in this movie because Scott Lang is in it? Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me that she would be in this film, and I'm totally okay with her being um, in this film. But I'm just like, the most logical explanation I can come up with is that they didn't originally have her planned to be in this film, and then they added her to the film after they did that initial cast announcement because giving a solo announcement to a character from a movie that Marvel fans didn't even like and who was not even the lead character in that film That just feels like a strange choice to me, which makes me wonder, was she originally not even supposed to be in this film and they added her in after the initial casting announcement?
Well, I know that they did some reshoots for this movie, or they're maybe doing them now, which always gets worrisome because I don't know, when do reshoots ever really go that well? Not usually ever, honestly. Usually don't end up helping the movie, but nonetheless they happen, especially with Marvel, so that could be it. But it also begs the question of what other characters are going to be in this movie that haven't been announced yet, you know? Like the Steve Rogers one obviously wasn't on the original Chair video that they posted. Where's, I don't know, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, for example? I mean, arguably the biggest character in the MCU, you know. He's not on the Chair, so will he be in this movie? My guess, he's either going to be a surprise casting or a surprise appearance along with some other people, or something in Brand New Day is going to lead into that, and that'll explain why him and the others aren't there. So that seems like a likely possibility for me. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. And I feel like we could probably get a trailer any day for this movie. I mean, there's speculation about a month ago that we'd be getting it. I remember refreshing my YouTube Marvel page, but no, it didn't drop. We the CinemaCon thing was like the big where they showed the trailer. I wonder if that's the trailer that they're gonna release to the public. That's a thing I wonder because I don't know. People kind of know exactly what happens in that trailer, so do they want to release it? I don't know. Definitely interested to say the least. This movie is probably my most anticipated release of the year. Just I don't know by default. I don't even think it's going to be the best movie, but it'll. I mean, obviously, it piques my interest just because it's a big Avengers film, and we haven't gotten that in years since Avengers Endgame. So yes, I am interested. But with that, actually, first off, Will, who's winning tonight, Spurs or OKC?
I'm gonna go with OKC. How about you?
I'm gonna go with OKC. I think this is where they kind of pick it up. But with that, thank you all for watching this episode of the Everything Podcast. Will, thanks for joining me as always, and we'll see you next time.